I've travelled on board the mothership Big Cat Reality with a group of anglers. Our aim? To find a remote seamount known as Kenn Reef. It's an isolated structure that is 15 kilometres long and found 500 kilometres offshore. This reef sits on top of an ancient volcano that rises from thousands of metres of water. I wanted to explore the biodiversity of this area and also see firsthand its reputed history as a shipwreck hotspot in the Coral Sea. Come 300 nautical miles offshore to find two things, big fish and a wreck, and I've joined forces with one of the best big fish and wreck finders I know. And Greg and I are here for a trip of exploration and some extreme gear testing. Are you ready, mate?
Absolutely, let's do it.
Greg Lamprecht is well known for producing DVDs, teaching people how to find fish and catch them. He also spends so much time on the water exploring and looking for wrecks in his home waters of Moreton Bay in Queensland. Ken Reef has a notorious history for shipwrecks over the past few hundred years. And our job here is to find evidence of wrecks as well as looking at how and why they become such good fish habitat. Greg is also a tackle company pro staffer and he has a job testing the quality of gear. The best way to do it? Under extreme pressure from big fish. A big part of this trip is to try and understand structure and how it affects fish, of which wrecks are very often a hard structure which do attract a variety of species. And in line with that, professional pride is definitely at stake here, as Greg and I are going to try and catch a minimum of 5 species if we can find the right holding places. And then we look for bonus points. Oh yes, here we go, Greg. We didn't have to go very far. We found that first decent rise in the reef. And so often the birds tell you where that is. When you do find packs of birds, they're often sitting on bait, and the bait's often in very particular places where there's current stacking up off a hard rise. There'll often be a number of fish on that spot. And once you can find those ingredients, fishing suddenly gets a lot easier. Well, mate, this isn't really one of the species where we're targeting, but we'll take it as a number. Barracuda, he's up there with one of the really cool predators on the reef, albeit not one of the best eating ones. A very, very vicious set of teeth. Greg's going to be very careful with that. Have a look at that. Something you don't want to get latched onto the end of a finger or an arm or a foot.
They've got some pretty wicked teeth on them, mate. Oh, yeah. And they do stink.
All right, we'll get the lure out of Stinky and we'll move on, eh?
Let's do it.
A barracuda isn't on our hit list, but it counts as one, and we know it can only get better from here.
So, obviously a huge passion of mine is trying to teach people what to look for to catch these beautiful trophy fish. So with that, we will come around with the searching side of it, trying to find these reef systems, because without that, we won't catch the fish that we're chasing.
One of Greg's roles in the product testing side of it is to work with the Mustad product, in particular their hooks. And one of the reasons we really wanted to come here was to see if we could make these hooks fail. And it's a test that I reckon any red-blooded angler absolutely loves. Can you break gear? In one of the toughest fishing places on the planet. We'll find out. Today, we're fishing the northern sections of the reef, which are new to us. This means it's all about trolling lures as we learn about the structure and fish holding patterns here. We're on. Oh, and we're off. And
on this one too. They're not real big.
You got one too?
Yep, we're on. Double hooker.
All 3. Yep, we're on the service bait's getting hit as well.
Yep, it's away.
We got 3 now, we're in a little bit of trouble. Righto. How we want to do this?
This could be interesting.
Just left the reef a bit then. We saw a line of birds working and actually stopping and diving and looking active like they were sitting on bait. As soon as we got to them, we've got 3 rods in action. Once again, you use everything in your favour when you're looking for concentration points for fish. Colour changes, water movement changes, and the birds, one of the best ways to quickly find where fish are concentrating.
Another species.
Yep, rainbow runner. Pretty cool fish, hunts in packs. Not the best table fare. Fantastic baits for much bigger fish. And these are regular food for the likes of marlin and our bigger predators which live in these parts. Oh, there you go, mine's free. You bring yours and I'll get this stick bait sorted.
Stick bait sorted.
I'm catching all the undesirables at the moment. We're working at it. We're working at it. They really are good looking fish. You can see where they get the name rainbow runner. Those golds and blue stripes running laterally, very well camouflaged, as you would have to be when you're a fish this size out in these parts. They don't grow a whole lot bigger than this, they live pelagically, and their main job every day is to survive getting eaten by bigger stuff. Fish on! Fish on!
Double look up.
I think we might have found them again. Yeah.
Little Mac tuna, once again, not what we're chasing, but part of the ecosystem. We've got no choice but to sift through these fellas to hopefully find the better fish, Nige.
Kenn Reef is a solid obstruction in a deep water ocean environment, and the current is pouring around this northern extremity of the reef. This area is earmarked to become a marine park green zone, and we could just be the last anglers to fish in this area.
Oh, big one's on. Oh, it's gonna get in the bottom there, I reckon.
Yep. We're in all sorts here, man. So much structure down in the bottom there. Oh dear.
Could be in a bit of trouble, I'd say.
Could be in a bit of trouble. And what this fish ate? A surface stick bait, a big one, positioned way out the back of the boat. Between our diving minnows and the big splashy presentation way out the back, it allows us to put a lot of different approaches out the back, which can maybe tempt different fish. Particularly when you've got a boat that's making a noise and you've got fish that are curious. They know when there's vibration in their area and they want to come and have a look. They can either find those diving lures swimming like stray bait fish around the wash, or if they come up later in the wash trail, then they find this big splashy lure looking like it's a stray bait fish. Ooh, just suddenly got angry. Oh, it's getting eaten. I think it's getting eaten, man.
Oh,
that's
no.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's getting eaten, yeah. It's getting eaten by sharks. I'm gonna have to go now. It's getting eaten. Oh no.
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 What a shame.
Kidding me. Anyway. Oh, that's disappointing. That is so disappointing. A little bit gutted so far. We've worked really hard. And the elements are against us.
We've got at least half a dozen sharks just swimming around the boat now.
So we've gone over a shallow patch of reef there. It shows you how aggressive these guys are. This fish would have come up from 10-15 metres down to see what's going on with the boat, and he's found this pretty solid lure splashing out the back, looking like a flying fish or a sowie skipping along the top, and he thought, I'll have you. And then as it is out here in a dog-eat-dog world, he's very quickly been set upon by the other apex predators here. Our day isn't going to plan, but during our trolling we've seen some serious bottom structure, and we decide to jig around it to maybe change our fortunes. Yep, go on, Greg.
Nice fish.
Go on. We had to
Nice,
drop.
nice little bommy there with
I'm
quite
going to go
a few.
super hard, mate, because we know what else is down there.
Yes.
We drifted while we were lamenting our trout getting eaten by sharks. We drifted over a patch of reef. Greg went, you have to drop a jig on that, Nige, because there's too many fish sitting on it. I've done that. And I've cooked, I'm not sure what yet. It's going pretty hard.
Nice. Oh, the shark's coming, the shark's coming.
Here they come.
Chasing.
It's a GT. Oh, it's not.
Unbelievable.
It's one of those blackjack trevally. Oh, you're kidding me.
That's what's left.
We're getting used to holding up half fish, and we so nearly won it too. This is out of control. Sharks in this place shows you that food chain in action. You've got to be quick to beat the predators around here, particularly those sharky ones. Look at them, they're just waiting for the rest of it to come back. We've bloated a few species, but we're only getting half points for some
fish.
of them. Significant and hard structure in the ocean is often home to a huge variety of fish species, and this usually includes a list of predators like these sharks. These animals are programmed to attack any would-be food that seems out of sorts, and you can't help but marvel at the speed with which they decimate their prey. In our travels up the reef, we've come across a pretty solid bommy sitting out in the middle of nowhere with a sign of a few fish above it. We're gonna have a quick jig before we keep going north. There we go, there we go. Oh no, there's a sharky straight away. It's one of the jig hooks Greg was sent to test, and I'm going seriously hard on this, right to breaking point. Oh, it's a bass. Yes! Come over here, Greg. Have a look at this.
That is a beauty, mate.
What a cracker. the red bass, one of our Legenids. Well, Legenid is a really big family of fishes. Look at that head structure, those big serrated edges, and that seriously hard cheek system which allows them to survive predation themselves. And that one managed to get through the sharks. I'm very impressed with that. Around here you can't eat these. They're an illegal fish to take because they do carry an abnormal amount of ciguatera toxin which makes us people really sick when we eat it. I'll get this hook out and I'll get this one back. Finally, we have a fish worth bragging about in the boat. It's been a good call to stop and jig on this structure, and with the sounder still lit up, we decided it's definitely worth another drop. Straight away. Oh yes.
Nice fish.
Oh yeah. Right on the way down again. Oh man. Far out, Greg, you've done well.
You're in a bit of trouble here, mate.
I am in all sorts of trouble. This fish is running for home. It finds that structure. I'm done.
You could
One of Greg's many skills is he's exceptionally good at finding bottom structure that hold fish. And part of that is finding wrecks, but it's also finding isolated little patches of reef. Speaking of reef, I am in it. Hang on. I think I've got him.
Got him?
Got him out. I got him out, Greg.
Beautiful.
You're kidding. A lot of these predatory fish which live close to home, even the pelagics for that matter, when they are hooked and they think something's grabbed them, they very often run for the first bit of structure they can find. And I've seen some really cool footage that Greg's got underwater before of fish literally running and rubbing their face against hard structure on the bottom. It's really cool to watch. It shows you what they do when they're a little bit stressed. Oh, look at this.
Look at that.
Look at this, D. That's getting bigger and brutal. Hurry up, mate. Oh, have a look. I can't even get my hand around its tail. Look at that for a chunk of a red bass. I mean, nearly one of the biggest ones I've caught, Greg.
That is a cracker, mate.
That is a cracker.
You were
make us work.
very lucky to get that out.
Yes. Have a look at that for a red bass. Man, that's where the power comes from. Look at the size of the tail. For the size of this fish, look at that. That is a big muscle-bound tail with a very big sail on it. They can generate plenty of torque really quickly. And they know where home is, and that's all this fish has done. He's tried to get his head back into a hole, and with a bit of persistent driving from Greg, we've managed to win one.
So the big red bass that Nigel just got here is often confused with the mangrove jack. There's a few easy ways to tell the difference between these two species. The easiest way between the mangrove jack is that they don't actually have that large deep pit forward of the eye there like this bass does. They're slightly more orange. They actually have highlighted spots in between the scales, so you'll see it's a lot different to a mangrove jack. Mangrove jack actually don't have those white or light coloured spots amongst the scales, so that's definitely the easier way. They are a lot thicker fish. They do look slightly different, so hopefully if you do catch one, you know which species it is, because obviously these guys do hold a lot of ciguatera poisoning.
Clunk. It just stopped. It all just stopped, Greg.
Good hit.
How aggressive the head shakes on this thing.
Oh, on.
You got him? Oh, Greg. Doubled up. Thanks for coming.
Oh, you got me.
Did ya? I did the old hand on the spool because he was pulling through drag. Far out. These things have got immense power. Talk about torque. Low end torque in the fish. You get those, some species that are just super quick, like your wahoos, some of your pelagics, and then you get some of these reef fish and they've got such big tails, big muscly shoulders, and when they want to go somewhere, they just grind you down into the reef and they know exactly where they're going. Darkest, deepest hole they can find. Look at this for a fish. Come on. Here's my
Now that is an awesome
that is a
trout,
horse. Ah, yes. Have a look at that.
Now that's a trout. Oh?
That's a trout.
That's awesome, mate.
That is a trout. A coral trout, of which there's a number of different species within that family. And this one is a blue spot. Very similar coloration to the common trout. There's ways to identify, and the chef on board Big Cat Reality
picked it
That's
up.
a really good lesson on it last night. He said the opaque nature of the fins. The common trout have a much bigger blue ring around their eye, and they have a lot more spots than this guy. These spots are a little bit bigger and more widely spaced. How is that for a trout? I'm kind of liking these jigs, mate. We haven't broken them yet, and I do not know how. We've tried very, very hard. We come across another significant lump in the bottom. About 400 or 500 metres of totally flat structureless country, and then a bump absolutely coated in bait fish and a few significantly bigger arches. This would be a fantastic place to drop a jig. I'm tempted just to... Oh,
he's on.
Didn't get anywhere near the bottom.
Sharks everywhere.
Didn't get anywhere near the bottom. The line just stopped. I went, oh dear. Made the cardinal mistake of had the drag setting on troll setting. The interesting part of lures that sink is that we often just use them to get to bottom so we can catch fish that are on the bottom. So often, the fact that it's rushing towards the bottom makes another predator that's sitting in the mid-water think it's a bait fish that's running away. If you've ever seen a dog that's tempted to bite someone and that person suddenly runs away, so often they get bitten. It's the same instinct in gear. Because that jig is flying towards bottom, very often gets you the bite. You know what amazes me about GT is that they're so aggressive that even the sharks are really cautious about biting them. That thing came up with so many sharks behind it. Yes, Grego. Yes. Woo!
Nice
Racking
GT,
them up, mate, another species.
Beautiful.
And he would have been, you spotted him, he would have been sitting, just a big arch on the sounder sitting amongst a cloud of bait, and we dropped our jigs right through it. It was either your jig or my jig, and he happened to zane in on that little bucktail.
They love these bucktails.
They are loving the bucktails. What I love about them is scientists will tell you they make up such a big percentage of the apex predatory biomass. So while they are so important, they're quite an important commercial species around the planet, but in our waters we tend to let them go a whole lot, and I think it's important to do that.
Great sporting fish, mate.
Fishing these jigs like this, it's a very easy process. We're just dropping it, watching a colourful braid run out through our fingers, and the moment it hits bottom, casual little lift and a stop. So you're trying to not take the jig too far away from the fish. We know they're there, we can see them on the sounder. What we want our jig to look like is just a distressed and an isolated bait fish suddenly pops up in their space. A couple of little jigs to make it look injured, throw out those wounded distress signals, and then leave it in the space, and so often that's when the bite happens.
Yep.
Oh! Go hard, dude. You right?
Yep.
Got him off bottom?
There we
go, mate. Work it. Work it, Greg. Oh, that's all right, mate. You got him. You might have him. Good work.
Just dropped down a metal jig there. Just hit bottom. Been slowing the motion of those jigs up while we've been out here. Seems to be getting the better bites. Normally jigs are retrieved at quite a fast pace, but I've slowed it down. We've been getting good fish on them.
That is a big green jobfish, Greg. The best part is there's another number, another species.
It is.
And the green jobfish, one of several members of the jobfish family, and the thing I really like about these fish is that they hang out with the reef species. They'll feed on the bottom and they're quite as happy coming right up to the top. So they're really in between the pelagic species and the reef species, but have a look at that. He's trying his best to chomp you on the finger. Everything around here has significant teeth, and he'll spend his life working out opportunistic wherever the food is. He'll be grabbing squid one minute, he'll be chasing down a pack of bait fish the next, and if a crab comes along the way, it's fair game as well.